Hello and welcome to the show. I'm here today on BeamNG Drive, going to be taking a look at a map. This is the Ultimate Endurance course. It is a track designed to break your car while you drive around it, so I'm going to have a look and see what it's like, whether it would be suitable for kind of a driven till destruction thing, see what it does to a selection of vehicles, because it's a little more difficult now with cars taking oil pan damage, because it's a very easy way for cars to die. So a good track for a Driven till Destruction series is one that's going to kill the car in fun and interesting ways, not just take out the oil pan of everything and have it die after a couple of minutes. So we'll see whether this track is able to do that. There are some different kind of hazards. I had a quick go around with a couple of stuff. Haven't driven this before though. Whoa! That's not a good start. That's actually got away with fairly minor damage in all of that. Could have been a lot worse. It's not bent a wheel, surprisingly. This is the most basic of game vehicles, if you like. This is the D-Series pickup truck that you just default spawn in on. It's all-wheel drive. It's got a V8, so it's got a little bit of power. All-wheel drive is good in general, because if we lose a wheel, we'll still have some sort of drive available to it. One of the big hazards on this course, this little section here, while the vehicles are fine when they're in pristine condition, broken cars are going to be a danger, and if you fall off, there is no way back up. If you fall off down there, it's game over. So you don't want to fall off down the cliff. You have to be really mega careful with the vehicles through that section, which will be difficult if they've got completely broken steering, missing wheels, being pulled around all over the place. Because the other rule is, as it always has been with these destruction series, and I will continue with it, the vehicles have got to be driven as hard as they can be. Now, of course, to not fall off the cliff, you'll probably be a little bit more cautious. But for the rest of it, I'm not allowed to just cruise over these jumps at 15-20 miles an hour. We've got to be going for it. It is bumpy down here. Oh, that's a horrible crunch on the front wheel. That is a horrible crunch on the front wheel. It's not folded under, which is good, and it still has some steering on it, but it is a poorly wheel now. Yeah, okay, so our steering is buckled. It's not the worst thing in the world, though. I say that. It's not ideal on lap 1 for your pickup truck to have got the front wheel buckled. That is a pretty nasty downhill section, actually. In some ways, you kind of want the vehicle to not carry... You sort of want the vehicle to have lost control before it gets to the bottom, because it's going to have another big jump. Okay, nose first, into the ground, no harm done. Radiator's fine. Steering's still a little buggered. Is that back wheel? No, I think the back wheel seems okay. For a second I thought it was pinged out slightly, but I think all the bodywork's so bent at the back, I think it's more likely bodywork is looking in funny positions rather than wheels in funny positions. There's a horrible bump through that container chicane that could get vehicles into trouble. We've got some sort of little dirt jumps down here that the truck is going to clatter its way across. These shouldn't be a problem for the pickup truck. They are nasty. They're quite well designed to be mean. They're quite sharp jumps, so you get, as you can see, you get a lot of crashing around as it comes back down on the ground. That's a lap. That's a lap around the circuit, and I mean the truck is not in great shape. Yes, okay, I rolled it in a slightly derpy way. However, the majority of the damage came from that downhill section at the bottom. Now I'm going to have to be a lot more careful, because the steering is wanting to pull it to the right. Typically, it's wanting to pull it off the map when we get to this next section. So we're going to have to fight against that. This little bit here is annoying. I say it's annoying. It's a good test to see how your vehicle steering is. But we do still have a lot more, enough steering to get through that little section, that's for sure. Around here, we'll still have enough steering. I've just got to be a little careful. If you lose concentration at the wrong time around here with a broken car, you are going to be in trouble, or the steering snaps at an awkward point. You are going to have all sorts of trouble. I'm not going to go too crazy fast over these jumps, because I don't want to get carted wide. I think worse things have happened to the front. I think I've lost all the sort of damping and suspension on that front left corner. So that's only going to get worse. I kind of want that wheel to fall off now. While it's okay while it can still steer. If that wheel folds in on itself, that could be a real problem for us. And it's still clinging on. The vehicle is difficult to drive and pinging around all over the place. We are through the worst of that. That was better, actually. This time around, we're through the mud. We're down the bumps woo, with relative ease. The handling, though, we carried so much speed at the bottom. Oh, that tree is not drive-throughable. Now, generally the rule, again, with this as it has been in previous ones, would be if I have to grab reverse to make it around a corner, the vehicle is counted out. If the steering physically can't make it, and you have to do 3-point turns. However, if you've spun, if you land the jump awkwardly, something like that causes the vehicle to point the wrong way, then of course it's only fair to grab reverse. Ugh. That's a horrible landing for the truck. That is the exhaust gone. The oil pan is gone. I was trying to use the banking to turn the car. Probably should. It wasn't that poorly that it needed to go for that one. That dip there is horrible. It really throws the vehicle out. It's got worse, the steering. Yeah, okay, so the exhaust damage is pretty irrelevant. It makes the car much louder. Truck, whatever, makes it much louder. Don't really care about that. The oil pan damage is a problem. That means this is going to go out through overheating one way or another, essentially. Now, how long the vehicle's got will depend on how badly the oil pan's damaged. That looked like a pretty nasty hit. So, much like the radiator was damaged, for example, the car overheats. The oil pan, when the oil is gone, it will seize the engine up. But we will have a little bit of time before that happens. I'm concerned about the steering of the truck causing us more grief. We should have the engine oil is critically low. I can't do anything about that other than just keep going through the course. My concerns for the steering are not so much this section yet. I'm sure some cars could get to that level where you just physically can't turn it through here and will fall off the cliff. My bigger concern is lining up for jumps. The vehicle's just going to want to wander around. It's just going to want to be not where I put it. Oh god, and like clattering on landings through here, for example, could be a problem. Bounced off the rock face, no real harm done there though. It's still okay landing on the front quite heavily. The rear axle is tough in this truck. It's twisting. It looks like something's gonna snap at the back there, but it does seem to hold together pretty well. We are across all of that section very nicely. Well done, truck. Let's see if we can keep going. I'm sorry, you are going to overheat at some point. Ooh, it's that transition as it flattens out depending on how the truck hits it. If you get it right, it's fine. If you get it wrong, there's a big clonk on the ground. Definitely worried that's going to break something, more so than it already is. The worst that happened on that one there, surprisingly, is the tailgate fell off. So there is that. Come on, truck. We can... You know, that sort of speed there was probably better than what we had last time around. If you can get it lined up perfectly. Of course, typically now it's a little bit too late. Can't do much about it. I think I've just seen how the exhaust was broken as well. Yeah, there you go. It's fallen. The exhaust manifold is still there, and it's just immediately dumped out as the... I guess from maybe what would be the cat in it, or the middle sort of muffler, whatever it is just kind of scraping along the floor. The truck is still going pretty well. That is horrible. I mean, this is a strong vehicle. Okay, this is surviving a hell of a lot of punishment over there. There's definitely unhappiness at the rear now as well. Again, I think it might be more bodywork and chassis tweaking than wheels. It's very difficult to tell. Of course, on the bed of the pickup truck, it's just a big bit of metal which can bend and tweak, especially on that downhill section. The exhaust pipe is really wanting to fall off the car. That's kind of irrelevant. The only time it might be a problem is it gets caught on something and is still stuck to the vehicle. Normally it'll just pull it straight off, but it is not impossible for bits of bodywork to get kind of welded into the car, and then when it hits something, do a hell of a lot of damage as it's sort of yanked free of the car. Oh, that hit the bump and almost went straight on into the post. That is bad news. If that happens, I do not want a head-on crash with a post. Oh, that is why I've got to be careful through that section, because that very nearly fell off. Ooh, that was very close to a disaster for the D series. It felt like the whole body sank there when it hit the floor. Now, I don't know whether that pinged back out again, or whether that is gradually getting more and more broken on the suspension. Very difficult to know. We're on to the downhill dirt path. Oh, That's not so great. The front, oh, the front's very broken now. The front right's lost all of its suspension. The front left, I don't think it's pinged the front left wheel back out again. That is helpful. Sometimes crashes fix problems. My concern, though, is we're losing steering now in this truck. The oil pan going hasn't really given us much grief. Oh. Okay, we're just jumping far enough to get that smoother landing there. Yeah, we don't have anywhere near as much steering as I would like going on in this truck. I feel like we're going to get one hit somewhere and the whole front end is just going to fall apart. Or, like, the steering rack is just going to fall out of it and then that's it. And then there's no more steering anymore for the truck. It doesn't turn very well either direction now. That mid-corner there, it just gave up wanting to steer. That's always a problem. Come on, D-Series. Keep on trucking along. That's a big hit on an awkward point. And another clonk. And another clonk. Still it clonks. Oh, we're going to go for a roll. Are we? Not quite a full roll. So I will use the node grabber to put it back onto its wheels. That's fine. Okay. We survive another lap, surprisingly, even if the front end is looking very low. These speed bumps could be a serious problem now for the truck. Engine starved of oil. That took a long time for it to run out of its oil. Yeah, these speed bumps, they might not quite be big enough. Doesn't sound good. We might now start having engine problems. The fact that it's got this far actually is surprising to me in many ways. It's been surviving on quite a broken steering and front wheels. I thought they were going to give up the Ghost long ago. Temperatures are still not too bad. So we haven't started eating, the engine hasn't started eating itself yet. I mean, it's going to happen at some point. It must have been only a small break in the oil pan. We'll take the tighter line through here because I don't trust this steering to not at some point die at a critical point and just launch me off the cliff. That is the big concern here. That's more horrible clonks. I know the engine's starved of oil. Can't do anything about it. You're just going to have to live with not much oil. That's not a fun place to land, and these jumps are just going to suck for the front end of the truck. There's no give in the front suspension anymore because, well, it's all been given and it's all broken to pieces. Every time it lands, the bodywork ends up bending in a different way, and I'm not sure what way I want it to bend. Oh, we're out of control. That looked bad on the front right. How is that front right wheel? It's still pointing the right direction. How, I don't know. It is still good, just about. I really thought that was going to be the end of it, if I'm honest. The way it landed, because the whole weight of the truck landed on the front right corner. We do not have much steering left in this. Oh, that landed very heavily on the front left. We have problems. Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to do to the front right. When it landed, it just didn't want to get straight on the ramp. We still have all-wheel drive. Let's disconnect that. If we can get it going, can we even get it going? The truck might be so broken that it's now going to be just a one-tire fire. Can I even get it moving? If I can get it moving, it might be okay. Oh, it just dug itself into a hole. Trying to figure out whether the exhaust is kind of dragging underneath. The reason why I disconnected the front wheel is technically that's still got drive, so it's fighting against itself at that point. Can I make it through the container slalom? If we can't make it through the containers, it'll get counted out for steering damage. Now this will not help with the engine workload. It's now going to be really strained trying to do this. It's just about going. The engine is now starting to eat itself as well, as it's having to really work dragging that front wheel. Has the front wheel pinged out? I think it has now. That's good. I'm going to leave it as two-wheel drive. To be honest, this is barely surviving as a truck. It is still surviving. Guys, a resilient bugger, this one. I'll give it that much. The D-Series always is. The D-Series is a very, very strong vehicle. This does not want to give up the Ghost. Oh, it doesn't handle very well, though, as a rear-wheel drive. I mean, the front wheel, now it's pinged back in. Oh, it doesn't really steer very far that way. Maybe we can get away with going back as an all-wheel drive. Let's give it a try. We'll see what happens. The engine's cooled down, I think. Now the wheel's pinged itself free. Don't quite know how that one works. I've not come across that before, really, with vehicles. Oh, no. Never mind. Never mind. The engine had cooled down, but I think that's a combination of suspension damage at the front and all of that sort of bad stuff. The engine has actually pretty much fallen out of the truck at this point. Hold on, has that legit fallen out? Oh god, the bodywork's barely held on either. Holy crap, that's so much punishment has gone on at the front. I don't know how loose the engine is in here. I've seen worse. I have seen worse than that, but still. Oh dear. So I mean, despite the damage to the extensive damage to the engine, it kept going. It really did get a good job. In the end, the speed bumps were just too much, damage too heavy, and one awkward hit tore the engine out of its mountings pretty much, and the drive shafts were gone. That though is a very, very impressive run. I did not, after the damage early on in that, I did not think the truck was going to last as long as it did. Up next, we have got a sports car. This is the 200BX, a fairly basic version of the car. Nothing crazy on it. It's rear-wheel drive, an okay amount of power, nothing ridiculous. Another fairly good test for this sort of track. Do not expect it to last as long as the truck. However, we do sometimes get funny results when doing this kind of thing. You never know. Certainly in the past, the 200BX has generally had pretty strong wheel axles. So what would happen, a little bit like we saw with the D-Series, but the wheels will buckle, they will bend, but they generally stay quite well connected to the car. Now this track is quite extreme in some regards, so how it's going to pan out, I don't know. The jumps around this circuit are quite nasty in terms of a lot of them don't have nice landing zones. They're going to be bumpy on the landing part, which is good for this sort of a challenge. And they don't seem to take out the oil pans. Well, we'll see how it goes with something a little bit different. We're going to sneak up the inside there. Last thing I want to do is get a big twitch coming along this section as well, and again have the vehicle thrown off the edge of the cliff. I think some of the cars are going to have to be slowed down across these bumps just so they don't get launched straight on and off the map, because we don't particularly want that. This is going to hurt. This is a bad jump. Ugh. Yeah, that's not a fun one. 200BX is not so bad though. It's another big clonk on the front. Oh, front wheel has got a little buckling going on. In fact, the front wheel's got some positive camber, the back wheel's got some negative camber. In fact, I fear the back wheel's not connected very well anymore, as is the way it goes sometimes. This is going to be pretty quick down here. Can I... Oh, okay, it hit the mud and it slowed it down enough. I don't know whether the sports cars might get bogged in that mud a little bit. I think it'll carry enough momentum downhill that they'll just kind of fire their way through. If they start rolling, that mud's going to be bad for them. It's going to do a lot of damage. Not much can really be done about that one. Just hope you keep your car in a straight line, basically. Okay, across the big jump we go. Oh, it has damage. So, I think since I last did one of these series, we get engine damage, but it doesn't mean it's immediately dead on one of these heavy hits, which is good. That's what I want to say. It's good news for the car. It means we can go another lap around here. It will probably make it a little bit slower. I'm not sure any of the wheels are pointing. Maybe the front right wheel is pointing in the way it should do, but that is about the only one. Oh, there goes the rear bumper. It's fine. Something is going to go through that section, hit that bump, and just launch itself into a container. I think that's the point of that bump, to be honest with you. The actual container slalom is not very difficult, but the bump can cause the cars some real grip, especially a heavily broken car with poorly steering or poorly suspension. It could even snap a drive shaft. I think there are other places. If your car's weak enough that a drive shaft is susceptible, I think it's going to go somewhere else, like that section there, to be honest with you. Oh, this is all sorts of wobbly on the handling department. Yeah, it doesn't go in a straight line. It doesn't really handle how I want it to anymore. Come on. There we go. That's fine. We'll go... third gear, there's no drive in it at all. I'm worried about those speed bumps now in damaged cars, how easy they're going to be to snap drive shafts on. And we saw it with the checkerboard in the previous Driven to Destruction one. Broken cars, especially sports cars, low-slung cars, would get in trouble across there and take out drive shafts. So I suspect those speed bumps will end up doing a similar thing. Didn't expect to see a truck go out necessarily from that, but that's the fun of this. We do not have a corner of this car that works properly anymore. I think the rear right is the only one with any sort of suspension left. It might not have it left anymore. And the front right is the only one with the wheel not at crazy angles. Car is rolled back over. That's not too much of a problem. I think it might have an open diff, this as well. Probably not the best. I think the front right's now no longer pointing the way it should. Oh dear. Oh, those sort of sickening crunches. There's definitely rear right has gone again. Has gone. I think it's quite bouncy. It's not. When it's bouncy, it's probably better than when it's completely gone. At least bouncy absorbs something. When it's completely gone, like we saw with the D series by the end, just all the hits are going through the chassis, and that's what will hurt. Oh, the exhaust has come off. Oh, I can't actually. It's so much skating around down there. I can't actually pull it away from the rock face. We're in the mud. We're in the dirt. Foot down, and we are out the other side. Crabmobile lives to fight on. This big jump is a dangerous one. I feel like if we can get a good enough run up and I don't lose control, and that's the problem with the two-wheel drive cars, especially with broken steering. If I don't lose control, okay, we get away with the landing. You've got to be going quite quickly there. You kind of almost want to jump over. You either want to jump into the water, but if you do that, you're going to go quite nose first because you're not going very quickly. Or go fast enough that you jump over the water. If you jump over the water, the way you kind of land in the mud cushions the blow. But if you land too far left or right, you'll just smack a quite solid mud bank. And if you're not quite jumped far enough, you will damage your vehicle on the sort of transition between the puddle and sort of the upward bit of mud. So that's a tricky jump to, I say survive. I think it's going to do a lot of damage to cars. This section, my rear-wheel drive sports car's quite broken, so I can't really pick up speed. Doesn't take too much of a battering over there. We're across the line for the next lap. Oh! Didn't like that. I'm not sure what the rear wheels are doing now. They're at funny angles still. Yeah, it's very floaty to drive at any sort of speed. Don't know if I want. I feel like I want third through some of this lap. Oh god, I feel like I'm working the engine quite hard in second, but as soon as I go up into third, it just dies. So I guess the diff is probably not helping with that because it's liking to spin its wheels up. It's liking to feel like it's buzzing the limiter a lot. Let's be a little careful through here. Yeah, the weight when the weight transfer goes because of the open diff. The weight transfer goes and suddenly you just lift up the inside wheel and the car starts spinning. Oh, that's very close. Oh, I thought I wasn't being too stupid either there. That so nearly fell off. That so nearly fell off there. I don't know what side I want to land. I don't know whether I want the car to land on the left or right side. Don't want to land on the front right wheel if I can help it because that's the best condition wheel I've got. So I guess we want to... probably want to land flat if we can help it and try and spread the damage out, seeing as the car is relatively... oh, come on, get under control. Okay, nicely done through there. Okay, there's a bit of a bump there that I didn't know about. We're out the other side. The radiator's in one piece. This doesn't seem like much of a radiator killer as such. Although I feel like stuff that would kill the radiator kills the oil pan, and that's the bigger concern, perhaps. We'll have to wait and see a little bit more on that. Okay, are we going to jump far enough? I know I've said it. That doesn't matter. The oil pan is gone. However, that is academic on the 200BX. That is perhaps a more common death we'll see with the rear-wheel drive cars. You know, I'm going to put it in neutral and let it coast. The drive shaft gone, we will have no drive. Yeah, the oil pan's damaged, but that doesn't matter. It snapped the drive shaft. The car will coast to a halt. That is the end of that. Yeah, that's a good... for a road car, that shows how strong it is. Yeah, the engine's still, you know, good enough in one piece. It's not as badly damaged as the truck was. And for what it is, as I said, the 200BX is strong. Wheel axles are really strong on this. Yes, none of the wheels are pointing straight anymore, or the way they should be. However, it survived in a lot better condition in many ways than the pickup truck did. The bonnet's still just about attached. It's in surprisingly good condition for the damage that was brought to it. But yeah, drive shaft gone. Not a massive surprise. The landing of that jump is going to have a lot of potential for taking out drive shafts of vehicles. Well, there we go. Oh, yeah, the engine, you know what, we can turn you off. You can rest, car, you have done well. There we go, that is a look at the ultimate endurance course. I like it. I have to say, I like it. As far as a challenge goes, it seems to be pretty good at not just destroying the oil pan immediately, which means destruction over time. Should be good. Should be good. There's a couple of different obstacles to give the cars grief. Definitely good potential to run a Driven Till Destruction series. So let me know in the comments if you'd like to see one around this track. We'll get some different cars and see what can survive. I think some are going to die quite quickly around here. I think we could see quite a few quick deaths. Although it's the same with any of these tracks. Whatever track you use, there is always potential for quick deaths and so on. But yeah, it looks like quite a nice balanced track for this sort of thing. And I will, of course, put a link to it in the description if you want to download this circuit and have a go with it yourself. But that's going to be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.